Hey everybody, this is Modern Refugee. Today I'm making some sausage. Fall is kind of the traditional time to make sausage. That's when a lot of the old folks would do their butchering, is usually from about the 1st of November to about the 15th of December, because in 1905 they didn't have any walk-in coolers or any way to refrigerate, so they waited until the fall and later fall, so they had the cold weather to hang their meat, and they typically would hang their meat and smoke it, and that's kind of what I'm doing today. I'm making this sausage to smoke. This is pork shoulder here that I got. You can see it's still got some frost in the meat. That's kind of how you want to have it when you're grinding meat for sausage. You want to have everything as cold as possible. I actually got my pan that I'm going to grind this meat into in the refrigerator right now, chilling out, and this stuff is actually going to go back into the either refrigerator or freezer for a little bit and let it cool back down before I grind it. I got two recipes that I had given to me, but they were for large batches of meat. They were for like 25 and 50 pound batches. That's typically how the old folks did it. These were older recipes. They would make 25 to 50 pounds in a batch, and then they would hang it in the smokehouse and they would smoke it. So they had it throughout the winter. They did the same thing with hams, half a hogs. They did it with bacon. That stuff would just hang in the smokehouse all winter after it was smoked, and when you wanted some, you just went out and got it. That was kind of the traditional way that they did it. I got about 10 pounds or so of meat here cut up. I haven't weighed it yet, but I started with about 11 pounds minus the scrap. I actually have about 25% beef here, and then the other 75% is in pork shoulder with the fat on the back. I got kind of a fatty piece. That's kind of what you want when you're grinding sausage. You want to have a little bit fattier pork shoulder because you want that fat into the meat. I'm not going to add any extra fat into this, just what was on the pork shoulder to begin with. But anyway, I'm going to finish stripping this up here, get this stuff re-chilled, and then start grinding it, and give you guys a little bit of a tutorial here how I go about making this sausage. The two types of sausage I'm making today are a Hungarian Kolbasz with paprika, and then just a standard Polish Kielbasa with garlic. Both of these have similar ingredients except for one or two things, and then we're going to case these guys up. But anyway, guys, when I got this stripped up here, I get ready to start grinding. I'm going to come back to you. Assembling my grinder here, I wanted to show you my grinding plate that I have in here. That's the coarsest one that I have for this KitchenAid grinder. I want a little bit larger pieces of meat in this sausage. I don't want it to be pureed like some of the commercial sausages that you get, or like a hot dog. I want actual distinguishable pieces of meat in my sausage that I'm making today. These recipes, like I said, were real large recipes, and I've trimmed them down to 5-pound batches here through experimentation, and we're gonna get this grinder up and running here, and then I'm gonna show you kind of what the grind looks like with the meat mixed together with the beef and pork. And here's what the grind looks like. You can kind of tell here the fat to lean ratio in here, the texture of it. There's about 12 pounds of meat here. I haven't weighed it exactly. I'm going to divide this in half, and then we're going to start on the spices. But this is actually going to go back in the refrigerator for a while and chill down a little bit. The meat's warmed up quite a bit with me grinding it, and I want a good cold product when I start mixing my seasonings in. So when I got this chilled down a little bit, I'm going to show you the seasonings for these two sausages. Well, my ground meat is chilling. I'm going to take a few minutes here to go over the seasoning for these two sausages. I got about 12 pounds of ground meat, so it's going to be two 6-pound batches. The first seasonings here I'm going to go over is for the Hungarian Kolbasz. I got about a tablespoon of coarse ground black pepper and about 4 large cloves of fresh garlic cut up as fine as I can get them on my cutting board with my knife. And then the other main ingredient for the Hungarian sausage is a good 1/4 cup of paprika. These are your main seasonings for the Hungarian Kolbasz. And then the seasonings for the traditional Polish Kielbasa are very similar. It's a tablespoon again of coarse ground black pepper, 4 cloves of garlic minced up fine, and then 2 tablespoons of dried marjoram. Now we're going to get into the salt. Both of these recipes call for about 2 tablespoons of salt and about a 3/4 of a tablespoon of pink salt or meat cure. Remember, pink salt or meat cure, you need about 1/8 of a teaspoon for a pound of meat. So that's kind of what the formula comes up with. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put 2 cups of cold water in this, and I have the salt mixture for both of these sausages in this cup here. I'm going to mix the salt really good, get it dissolved in that cold water, and then I'm going to add that to the meat and get that incorporated real well. And then I'm going to add the seasonings for the 2 respective sausages when I have the meat divided up. But that's how I'm going to go about seasoning this. I'm just using a plain kosher salt here, non-iodized salt for these 2 sausages. When I got these guys divided up here and I got these ingredients start to be incorporated into my ground meat, I'm going to come back to you and show you what it looks like at that point. Well, here's my meat out of the refrigerator. It's good and cold. And here's my salt water mix. This is my kosher salt and my meat cure with 2 cups of ice cold water on it. Stirred really well, and the salt is thoroughly dissolved. I'm going to add this onto my meat and mix it in real well, and then I'm going to divide this meat in half so I can add the seasonings for the 2 different batches of the respective sausages that I'm making today. One thing I want to mention on the enunciation, Kolbasz, Kolbashi, Kielbasa, Kielbasi. There's just different ways that these sausages are pronounced, and I was told these ways to say these sausages. That's why I say them that way. It's we kind of live in an area where there's a mix of different European immigrants, and there's just different ways people enunciate some of these dishes and sausages and stuff. One example I'll give you is in my family, we made like a dough noodle. We're of German descent, and that dough noodle was always called spätzle. And spätzle is something that we had quite often as a kid growing up, but I've heard it pronounced many different ways on the internet. Spätzle, spatz. It's just kind of the different takes that different folks put on those names. But anyway, just kind of wanted to mention that here. I'm going to get this sausage stirred up with the salt cure water on it, and then I'm going to divide it up and start mixing in the seasonings for these 2 different sausages for you guys. And I'm going to show you what the 2 sausages look like when I have them mixed up. Here's my ground chilled meat divided up. I've added in my salt brine cure mixture and mix that in thoroughly. I have about 6 pounds in each one of these containers here. I had both of these dishes in the refrigerator, so they're good and cold here when I start mixing this sausage. Now I've added the kielbasa seasoning into this particular dish right here. We're going to mix this in thoroughly, and then we're going to go back to this one here, and we're going to add our Hungarian spices into this particular sausage. When I got both of these guys mixed up here, then I'm going to come back and show you what they look like, and then they're going to go back into the refrigerator to chill for several hours so those flavors can all mingle. Well, I have the 2 sausages thoroughly mixed up. This is the Polish kielbasa right here, and then this is the Hungarian sausage. As you can see, the Hungarian sausage is taking on a nice rich red color from the paprika that we put in here. These 2 sausages are going to go in the refrigerator now for several hours so the flavors can combine, and then we're going to case these later today so we can smoke them tomorrow. One thing I want to mention real quick about mixing sausage here, I feel that mixing it with good clean hands is the best way to mix sausage to combine the meat and the seasoning. I have yet to find a mechanical way that did it better than what the good Lord gave us. But one other thing I want to mention here, how do you know when this is mixed good enough? And with sausage, when the sausage becomes sticky, then you have it mixed good enough. I'm going to show you right here and grab a little piece of this sausage. As you can see, it sticks to my fingers. That way you know that you got your meat and seasonings totally combined. Just kind of wanted to show you guys that. This stuff's going in the refrigerator. When we get this stuff cased up, I'm going to show you what it looks like at that step later today. Couple small things I want to show you guys here in preparation for smoking sausage tomorrow. This is my firewood that I'm going to use for both the heat and the smoke for smoking sausage out in my fire pit. Just took my normal wood that I use for cooking out in my fire pit. It happens to be ash, and put it in a 5-gallon pail here, and I'm covering it with water, and it's going to stay like that overnight. That way it can draw the water in and give me a good smoke tomorrow when I'm ready to start smoking. And the other thing is my casings. This is my hog casings that I'm going to use to stuff my sausage. These need to soak for a couple of hours. They're kind of brittle. They're packed in salt, and they need to be soaked and rinsed thoroughly a couple of times before you get ready to stuff the sausage. But anyway, just kind of wanted to show you how I go about getting this stuff ready too. Well, here we are the next morning. We cased this sausage late last night and put it back in the refrigerator overnight. Now this morning I got up early. They're calling for snow later today, so I kind of want to get this on the fire pit and get this get a little smoke put on this sausage. But what I did this morning was I tied this sausage off. I took my cotton cord, which is something every prepper should have in their preps, is a couple of balls of cotton cord. But anyway, I tied loops on my sausage ends, and now these are going to hang just like so over my fire pit so I can put a little smoke on them. So anyway, I got a fire going out there right now. I'm going to get these guys hung, and then I'm going to kind of show you what it looks like, and then we're going to wrap up the TP and get a little smoke on it. Now you can see here I got the sausage hung up. I got it hung with the cotton cord that I tied the sausage off with. This is the perfect morning for this. It's about 29 degrees outside. You can see there's some steam coming off the sausage, and that's what we want. We want the moisture to dry off this sausage before we start putting smoke onto it. You can see I just got a real small fire going there. We're going to let this go for a few minutes so this sausage dries off good. Then we're going to cover this up with our canvas, and we're going to start putting some smoke to it. Well, you can see here I've got my canvas wrapped on the teepee. I dampened my canvas down with water really well, and just a canvas cloth, what I use for this. Let's take a little peek in here. You can kind of see the sausage getting the smoke put to it. Cover this back up here so we keep our sausage in. Always got a cup of water sitting here in case a fire flares up. We can put it down. And you can see my my wet wood in there smoldering, doing its thing. Got a little opening here so I can tend the fire. This is the same primitive technique that I use to smoke my jerky. But anyway, we're gonna let this go for a little while and get a little color on this sausage. I'm gonna show you guys what it looks like at that point. Well, we're a couple hours into the smoking process. We're going to open this up now and kind of show you guys what we got here. See there, starting to get a nice brown color onto it. We're about, I'd say, halfway done here in the smoking. I'm going to keep this fire going until I get a little bit darker color on this sausage. And then I'm going to come back and show you the finished product when we're done. I'll close this back up now. Tend my fire. Well, it's been about 4 hours. My fire's starting to die down here. We're going to give it a little check. The smoke out here. You can kind of see the chestnut color on the sausage starting to wrinkle a little bit. That's kind of what I want. Make sure when you're smoking sausage like this, it gets up to about 170-degree internal temperature, so it's done. It does have meat cure in it, so it should be good to go at that temperature. I'm going to let this hang in here for about an hour so it cools down, and then once it's cooled down, I'm going to take it down, take it in the house. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a wrap up. Well, as you guys can see, it's starting to snow outside. I decided I'm going to do the wrap up outside here for you guys. You can tell Got a good color on the sausage, starting to wrinkle a little bit. It's cooled down. It's going to go in the house now. We're going to cut this up and we're going to vacuum seal it and put it in the freezer. Back in the old days, you would have just let this hang in the smokehouse because it was winter anyway. It was kind of natural refrigeration. But I hope you guys enjoyed this sausage making video. Just some simple sausages that you can make with just real simple stuff, and smoke it in a backyard fire pit if you have one. But anyway, this is Modern Refugee. I appreciate all you guys out there watching my videos. Hope you guys got a little information and a little entertainment out of this, and you guys have a great day.